Welcome to the Career Transition Workshop. Session 4, entitled Communication Connection, How to Write Right, is the second part of a 3-part mini-series we began last time with Session 3, 2-minute, 2-page resumes. Written communication is becoming a lost art, and there are more communications required than just your resume. One of the most undervalued and overlooked weapons in the effective job seeker's arsenal is a powerful, proactive written communication strategy. It is the WMD, a weapon of meaningful differentiation. How you write reveals volumes about you. The quality and competence of your formal communications is a powerful differentiator in business. Indeed, the devil is in the details. The difference between good and great is in a commitment to the little things you will learn in this session, which we have divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is Build Better Letters, where the outcome is to help you to develop effective correspondence throughout your job search from the start to finishing strong. Part 2 will be pre-interview stuff, where the outcome here is to be able to create a great cover letter aimed at target companies, recruiters, and hiring authorities. And then finally, part 3 is for post-interview letters. Follow-up is key. Learn how to make a lasting impact so they will remember you. So let's begin with part 1, Building Better Letters. So let's begin with part 1, Build Better Letters, or the 15 keys to writing right. I'll give you an overview of each of the keys, and then we'll work with each one specifically. The first is remember the reader's frame of reference. Second, flavor the format. Third, check your spell checker with a swell checker. 4, quit the qualifiers. 5, avoid vagueness. 6, clip the cliches, junk the jargon. 7, lose the Latin lingo. 8, screen sexist slang. 9, practice parallel passages. 10, promote the positive. 11, activate the active. 12, break the biggies. 13, work on wordiness. 14, remove redundancy. 15, KISS, K-I-S-S, keep it short and simple. Let's begin then with the reader's frame of reference. Job seekers make a mistake when they present themselves from an egocentric perspective, from a I, me, my point of view. Sounds something like this. I am so wonderful, I am so great, I am the candidate you'll love to hate. Look at me, look at my work. I see only myself, so you know I'm a jerk. Instead, get inside the head and the heart of the hiring authority. What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What do they value? What do they want? What do they need? In the Seeker's Notebook, Exhibit 4B is a funny but poor example of a cover letter written from an I, me, my point of view. But Exhibit 4C is a more effective cover letter written to a well-researched target company from a you point of view. Here, the structure of the letter is written with the reader's frame of reference in mind. It starts general at the industry level, moves to the company and the challenges they face, the type of people that they would value, and finally, you claim that you are one of those valuable types of people. It reads like, our industry will or has, your company will or has. Some of the challenges you will be facing are, you value people who have these particular types of competencies, and by gosh, I am one of those type of people. As we explain in Session 6, Search Management, these types of letters are part of a managed mailing campaign rather than a mass mailing campaign. They require some proactive company research so that you can relate well to their situations. These are not boilerplate correspondence, but custom communications, effective rather than efficient. Second, let's look at building better letters through flavoring the format. Letters, resumes, all correspondence can be enhanced with the occasional use of different styles like bolding, underlining, or italicizing selected text. We live in an increasing visual culture. Looks matter. Make it clear, consistent, and clean. Or by applying different formats like using a few bullets, indenting different lines of text to break up the block look, or inserting headers to direct the reader to key portions of the text. Use indentation to show subordination of items to create clarity and flow. But just don't overdo any of these techniques. For example, more than just a few words in italics becomes hard to read, and more than 3 to 6 bullets should be avoided. Bullets represent a list of exceptional items, not an alternative way of writing a paragraph. Number 3, check your spell checker with a swell checker. Spell checkers won't check many problems. Find a swell checker like another job seeker to proofread whether the spell checker missed a few. A couple of additional examples of spell checker challenges like this one can be found on Exhibit 4D. Beyond checking for spelling errors, swell checkers can check for grammar, word usage, and if the text actually makes any sense whatsoever. The fourth key is quit the qualifiers. Qualifiers weaken or dilute what you need to say with greater confidence and commitment. The bad example here is, I am rather an effective communicator. Words like rather or quite or pretty much or kind of or sort of or a bit or somewhat, all dilute you getting out and just saying it. Better is I communicate effectively. The fifth key is avoid a vagueness. Check your correspondence for clarity, that what you say is what you really want to say. Here, the bad example is, the downsizing made a major short-term impact on the bottom line. Oh, really? Did the bottom line rise or fall, go up or down? It would be better to say, the downsizing hurt this year's profit. Number 6, clip the cliches and jump the jargon. Remove fad words, trite phrases, and professional nomenclature. Watch out for acronyms. Don't assume that the reader knows their meaning. Write it out the first time, followed by the acronym in parentheses if you plan to use the acronym over and over. Here's the bad example. Enclosed, please find. Ooh, that's a cliche. The information per your request. Another cliche. Hopefully you can utilize, could use. My experience to benefit your company with the parameters. That's a jargon. of your company's operating plans. I appreciate your input, jargon, on the ways and means, beep, cliche, concerning the continuation of our interface, jargon, with one another. Hey, simply rewrite that by clipping the cliches and junking the jargon and say, the information you requested is enclosed. Your company can use my experience. Thank you for your suggestions on how to continue our discussions. Or here's another example. The Beata experienced 100% mortality response. What? What the heck does that mean? What? Anybody know what Beata means? It means fish. And 100% mortality response means they're dead. It means all the fish died. All of them. Every one of them. They all just died. Just sitting there, floating up there. They all died. Don't say the Beata experienced 100% mortality response. Just say all the fish died. Make it simple, clear. Clip the cliches and junk the jargon. Number 7, lose the Latin lingo. It is better to use English words rather than Latin abbreviations. E.g. and I.e. People are always getting those confused. Or it's kind of like confusing medical terms like, what is EKG? Yeah, I think that's electrocardiogram. I think that's for the heart. And that's always get it mixed up with EEG, which is electroencephalograph, which is for the head. And then there's the EGG. You know what that is? It's an egg. It's an egg, EGG, egg. I ate all the egg when all the fish died. Real simple stuff here. Okay. But there are other Latin lingos like et al. I ate all the fish when all the eggs died. I ate it with an egg. Or in be, note bene. It's kind of like I'll have a bottle of note bene when all the fish died and I eat all the eggs. Or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Same for other languages as well. For example, if someone were to say esprit de coeur, just say the spirit of the group, raison d'être, the reason for being. It's simple. Say it in English. Say it clearly. It makes for better writing. Key number 8 is screen sexist slang. The bad writing example is the candidate must pass a screening interview before he is presented to the client. Job seekers must be sensitive to the diversity that exists in today's workforce. There are 2 good ways and 1 bad way to get rid of this male orientation. The 2 good ways to get rid of the male orientation is to make it plural or make it neutered. Make it neutral. All right. For instance, plural. Candidates must pass a screening interview before they are presented to the client. Or neutral. The candidate must pass a screening interview before presentation to the client. A bad way is using he/she or him/her. Awkward and kind of sounds like a horror movie. 9th key is practice parallel passages. Parallel construction adds clarity, elegance, and symmetry to your writing. It puts nouns with nouns and verbs with verbs and a phrase with a phrase. The bad example here is to teach, to supervise, and delegating work are a few of my professional objectives. The problem there is with the word delegating. parallel passage would rewrite that as teaching, supervising, and delegating work are a few of my professional objectives, or to teach, to supervise, and to delegate work are a few of my professional objectives. Here's key number 10. Promote the positive. Notice it doesn't say negate the negative. Why? Because job seekers need to accentuate the positive and screen for negative words like not, but, yet, however, or simply sorry. No, bad. I'm sorry. I didn't get these references to you sooner. How about just, here are the references you requested? Make your life a positive statement, not an apology. Studies show that it takes up to 5 positives to cancel out one single negative. Here's number 11. Activate the active. You need to activate active sentence structure by pacifying the passive sentence structure. Passive sentence structure is when the doer of the action appears after the verb, either explicitly, that means spelled out, or implicitly, which would mean it's just implied. If you use has been, you may become one. Active sentence structure is when the doer of the action appears before the verb. So passive, it's after. Active, the doer is before the action. So the bad example here is the search was terminated. Implicitly, by them, the search was terminated. Better, in an active sentence structure, is they terminated the search. Here's another use of passive. Job seekers often use passive sentence structure in resumes like responsible for directing. That responsible for is a passive structure. Turn it to an active structure. Say directed. If you use passive sentence structure in your resume, change it. The 12th key to building better letters is to break the biggies. Sometimes job seekers think they should use big words to be impressive. Show the hiring authority just how intellectual they are. You know, at what grade level are newspapers written? Think about it. 6th, 7th, 8th grade level? Why? To make sure they are communicating. Communications is the ultimate goal of every correspondence sent by a job seeker. Change 50-cent words to a 10-cent word. For instance, here's the bad example. Utilize structural decomposition prior to developing correspondence. Or the 10-cent version, use an outline before writing letters. Or here's another one. The bad example is, pursuant to our discussion herewith, we acknowledge receipt of your memorandum as of the above date. I can shorten that, make it a little bit simpler, get rid of all the 50-cent stuff, break down the biggies by just saying, as we discussed, we received your letter on July 8th. Here's key 13. Work on wordiness. Business correspondence is not waxing prose. It is bottom line, get to the point, rapid fire. As example, at this point in time, why not just say now? In the event of, why not just say when? Each and every one, why not say all? In the majority of cases, why don't just say usually? Due to the fact that, why don't you say since? Or in spite of the fact that, why don't you just say although? And finally, perhaps you might say, in my opinion, I think that this is a good point. Well, either say, in my opinion, it's a good point, or I think it's a good point, or Just get on with it. It's a good point. So either or neither, but not both. Number 14, key to building better letters is to remove unnecessary redundancy. Oh, my goodness, the word unnecessary is redundant. Work on wordiness. Eliminate too many words. Remove redundancy. Eliminates unnecessary words, like the word unnecessary. Why? Because it is redundant. Here's the bad example. First of all, since it is at the first, no need to say that. I need to ask a question. That's what we ask. To whether or not necessary. The company will start advanced, most planning is in advance, at the present time or a later date. If the answer is not the first part, the second part is implied. My personal opinion is that, whose opinion do you expect here? It is absolutely, if it's essential, it is absolute, essential, to begin planning at this time, not necessary. When we can combine together, that's how things are normally combined, it's together, the talents of the right people to circle around, most circles are around, the key issues. Better, by simply removing the redundancy, would be, when will the company start planning? It is essential to begin when we can combine the talents of the right people. They can then address key issues. Last but not least is the KISS principle, K-I-S-S. What does K-I-S-S stand for? Keep it short and simple, which means short sentences and simple letters, which means sentences should be 17 words or less. Written letters should be a single page. An email should fit the reading pane. So a bad, too long sentence would be, in this correspondence, I've attempted to respond to each and every one of your inquiries, and I hope that if you have any additional questions whatsoever, please do not hesitate to contact me. Better would be, if you have questions, please call. My theory is, if you're gasping for breath reading a single sentence, it's too long. Now, how do you use these? Write whatever correspondence you want, but then align your correspondence up with these 15 rules and make the changes necessary to build a better business letter.